Hi there. In this video, we're going to go over the techniques for computing limits. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is that anytime you encounter a limit problem is to plug in the value. Right, so the limit is asking us, as x is getting close to a value, so in this case 1, as x gets close to 1, what are the y values doing? This is an f of x, which is a fancy name for y. Right, so we're asking as x gets close to 1, what are the y values getting close to? Well, we can just plug it in. And so when I say this is the limit, then as x goes to 1 of, and I plug it in, I'm going to get 2. So that means that as x gets close to 1, the y values are getting close to 2. And we can see that by looking at the graph of the function as well. I have the graph of the function here. So as I go to 1, so here's x equals 1. And so I'm looking, right, as x approaches 1, the two-sided limit, so from either side, what are the y values doing? And I can see, whoops, I'm not quite at 2 there, but I can see that we are approaching 2. We'll make that bigger. So this will be the 0.12. So as x approaches 1, y is going to 2. So in this case, I can actually say f of 1 is 2, and the limit as x goes to 1 of f of x is also 2. So the limit and the function value are the same. They don't have to be, right? But in this case, they are the same. And in order to find the limit, we're going to start looking at some of their limit laws. So the sum, so if you're trying to find the limit as x goes to a number of the sum of two functions, you can just find the limit of each one. So that's kind of also what this is doing. If you consider x squared one function, so y equals x squared, or f of x equals x squared, then g of x equals 2x minus 1, you can think of this as the sum property of limits. So if you're taking the limit of a sum, is the sum of the limits. Same for the difference. The limit of a difference is the difference of the limits. If you have a constant, you can take the constant out and do the constant times the limit. So that's like our 2x over here. Right? I can say 2 times the limit as x goes to 1 of x. And then you have the product rule. If you have two functions being multiplied, you can say, so the limit of the product is the product of the limits, and same with quotient. And those are the other ones, the other rules of the laws of limits. So let's try this example. Suppose that the limit as x goes to 1 of f of x is 3, of g of x is 4, and of h of x is 5. Use the limit laws to compute each limit. So here we can use, looks like we can use a combination of a lot of them. We can use the constant law, the sum, and then the quotient. Now for the quotient, it's really important that the limit is not equal to 0. And we'll talk about the case when it is 0, what we do. But right now, let's consider this. As h goes to 1, the limit is 5, so we're okay. So then I can say this is, I'm going to say 2 times the limit as x goes to 1 of f of x, right? I'm using the constant multiple formula. If I have limit as x goes to a of c times f of x, I can put the c in the front. So that's the one that I'm using. And then the sum plus the limit as x goes to 1 of g of x divided by combining it with the quotient rule, limit as x goes to 1 of h of x. And now I use the values given to me. So this is 2 times the limit as x goes to 1 of f of x. That's given to me to be 3. So I'm going to put 3 there. Plus the limit as x goes to 1 of g of x. The limit as x goes to 1 of g of x, we're told that it's 4. So I'm going to say plus 4. And then divided by the limit as x goes to 1 of h of x, which is, we're told that that limit is 5. So divided by 5. And then we compute it. So the limit will be 2, like 10 divided by 5. And then here for part B, we can do which property can we use. Looks like we can use number 6, the power property of limits. We have the limit as x goes to a of a function to a power is the power of the limit. So I have f of x squared there. So this I can say then is the limit as x goes to 1 of f of x, and then the whole thing squared. The limit as x goes to 1 of f of x, we're told it's 3. So this is 3 squared, which is 9. So that's a little bit of using the laws of limits. So one of the questions in my next video that I'm going to ask you is, what is the limit, for example, as x goes to 2 of x squared minus 4 over x minus 2? Right, because notice if I just plug it in, I'm going to get 0 over 0. Right? 4 minus 4 is 0, and then 2 minus 2 is 0. So then what do we do with that? So that's going to be on the next video, part 2.